My child, I've opened the gates of hell for this person close to you, and the name of this wicked person is. Archangel Michael says, listen with the part of your heart that knows the difference between a smile and a blade, because tonight the veil tears and justice walks in with fire on its feet. The air grows electric around you, and the silence begins to hum like a wire pulled tight. Your breath slows, your chest remembers a weight it tried to forget, and your spirit rises as if it knew this hour was always coming. I place my hand upon your shoulder and the room answers with a tremor only your soul can feel. You have carried doubts like wet stones, telling yourself it was nothing while the signs lined up like soldiers. The late replies, the colder words, the coincidences that refused to be coincidences any longer, all of it stood in the doorway of your awareness and waited for courage to open the latch. Tonight the latch gives way, and the truth steps forward with the authority of thunder. I have unsealed ancient doors in the unseen, so that deception can no longer hide behind borrowed light. Flames rise where the lies were woven, and the masks melt into the faces that forged them. The ground you stand on hardens, because heaven has decided your trembling will end. This person is close, closer than even memory admits, a shadow that learned your rhythms and mapped your steps. They held your hand while counting your blessings like coins to be stolen, and they laughed with you while rehearsing the moment they would cut the rope. They built a story where they were ally and you were fool, yet forgot that every story answers to judgment when the hour sounds. All day your name was spoken in rooms you did not enter, and promises were traded like counterfeit bills. They smiled across a table and sold your peace for attention, and every secret you confided became a trinket in their pocket. Their confidence turned to greed, and greed turned to hunger that ate their sleep like moths eat silk. I draw back the curtain, not to break you, but to make you unbreakable. I bring you to the window you avoided so your eyes can decide what your heart already knows. In the dim reflection you see a line of moments you dismissed, and now each moment clicks into place like bones returning to their true joints. The first sign was in a sentence that landed too sharp, then softened the moment you looked. The second sign was the key they asked to borrow and never returned, a small permission that became a door they never closed. The third sign was the story that never kept its shape, expanding to fit the moment, shrinking when you held it to the light. You asked for loyalty and received echoes. You gave warmth and received inventory. You hoped for patience and received delay disguised as devotion, a slow poison measured in pretty words and careful timing. I set the heavens to record the pattern and measure the weight of it. I watched them rehearse concern and polish their alibis, and I noted every time they used your kindness to pay for their ambition. They told the stars they were innocent, but the stars refused to lie in any language. Now hear this oath of fire, my child, spoken with calm and carried by certainty. Your value returns to you like a tide that remembers its moon. Your name returns to you free of their fingerprints, because I am done allowing thieves to autograph what they never built. The gates of hell open not to swallow you, but to expose what feeds on you. Flames crawl along the floor of hidden tunnels and light pours into the nest that thought itself safe. The wicked do not love light because light removes the theater they need to survive. Closer still, the circle tightens and the map shortens to one street, one door, one breath. This person learned your past so they could predict your future and place traps where you would step. They stitched themselves into your routines and thought that being necessary was the same as being trustworthy. They memorized your heartbreaks and wore them like keys on a ring. They studied your laugh so they could mirror it in public and mock it in private. They drank from your hope and then told everyone they were the well. I watched the nights you cried without sound and decided that silence had collected enough of your tears. I counted the days you chose peace over answers and decided that peace would now serve you by delivering answers. I measured their harvest of your kindness and declared a drought over every field that used you like rain. The hour of unveiling moves like a lion through tall grass. It does not rush and it does not hesitate. It arrives exactly when courage and consequence agree to meet. I will not speak their name from my lips, because the power is not in my pronouncing but in your recognizing. The name rises inside you like a heat you cannot deny, a syllable that tastes bitter now that disguise is gone. You see the letters the way you see lightning through closed eyes, bright even in darkness and impossible to ignore. This person is the one who celebrates you only when there is an audience. This person is the one who comforts you only when it costs them nothing. This person is the one who knows your wound and presses it for negotiation, then calls it a misunderstanding when confronted by light. You remember the message they hid and the call they declined. You remember the errand that always appeared when you needed them most. You remember the gift they gave that felt like a ledger, tender in the hand and heavy in the mind. Now the earth beneath them shakes in the quiet, and the props of their performance begin to fall. Mirrors that once made them look taller crack at the edges, and the borrowed lights flicker and go cold. The crowd inside their head starts to leave, and they learn what emptiness sounds like when applause is no longer rented. You do not chase or plead or offer one more explanation. You stand where you are and let your silence speak with the weight of mountains. Your boundary becomes a sword they cannot swallow and a gate they cannot climb. I gather every memory that tried to defend them and I lay those memories at your feet for trial. Each one testifies, and each one confesses its own desire to be loved even when love was not present. You forgive yourself for writing a better version of them than they ever intended to become. Now the path clears and the air thins in a way that makes room for breath. You feel your shoulders loosen and your jaw unclench, and the future lifts its head like dawn. The room is still the same size, yet somehow it feels larger because your fear has been evicted. I mark your doorway with the promise that nothing false will cross it without burning. I place a sentinel at your threshold who recognizes the difference between apology and manipulation. I reinforce your floor so it does not buckle under the weight of someone else's need. The wicked spirit that coached them loses the script it once whispered. The rehearsed charm falls flat and the borrowed phrases sound hollow, because truth changes the acoustics of any room. Their power depended on darkness, and darkness cannot negotiate with day. You do not need revenge to heal, because justice has its own appetite and it does not dine on your time. You do not need proof for every listener, because your peace is not a courtroom with endless spectators. You do not need permission to leave the table that began to cost your soul. I take the secrets they traded and I set them on fire until only ash remains. I take the guilt they hoped would tie you, and I cut it loose with a blade made of mourning. I take the fear that made you small, and I wrap it in iron until it cannot move. Listen to the sound of your true name inside your chest, steady now and strong. It beats without flinching, and each beat is a drum that calls your power back from every corner where it was scattered. You gather yourself with both hands and feel the weight of your own crown return. The road ahead does not beg for your worry, because worry is a thief that never pays rent. The road ahead does not repeat the old test, because you have passed it and I have burned the paper. The road ahead belongs to the you that refuses to be negotiated by hunger that is not yours. You release their image from your altar and you reclaim that space for light. You lift the picture frame and remove it from the shrine of your patience, and the wall looks clean again. The room inhales and the house feels like yours in a way it has not felt in years. I send helpers who do not announce themselves as heroes and do not invoice your heart. I send friendships that do not keep score and do not tremble when you are strong. I send opportunities that do not require you to shrink to fit, because the doorframes of your future are built to your size. The flames at the gate roar once, then settle into a steady guard. They will not scorch you, because they know the mark on you is mine. They will not sleep, because they are fed by a justice that does not tire. As for the one who betrayed, they face their own mirror without you holding it. They feel the cold floor of a room with no audience, and they meet the echo of their choices without your warmth to soften it. They learn that love is not a stage and truth is not a prop. You choose the dignity of distance and the courage of clarity. You choose the discipline of silence where it protects your peace, and the strength of speech where it protects your future. You choose to be exact with yourself, and that precision becomes a shield no lie can pierce. I lift the weight from your chest and give you breath that does not apologize for existing. I lift the fog from your eyes and give you sight that does not ask for permission. I lift the trembling from your hands and give you work that fits your calling. The name is written within, and you know it as surely as you know your own. You will not say it to hurt yourself, and you will not deny it to comfort a mask. You will honor your knowing the way a lighthouse honors the storm, steady and unashamed. Stand now and feel the floor agree with you. Walk forward and feel the air welcome you. Rest tonight and feel the dark behave, because I have commanded it to leave you in peace. The chapter that used you is over, and the new page does not carry their fingerprints. The doors that open for you now are real doors, set on real hinges, leading to rooms where you do not have to hide any part of your light. The people who meet you there will recognize you without needing to be convinced. I am with you as you sort your treasures and lock your gates. I am with you as you pour out what does not belong and keep what was always yours. I am with you as you sweep the floor and open the windows and let the old air go. Your heart learns a new rhythm, not frantic, not afraid, but certain. Your mind learns a new habit, not spiraling, not bargaining, but choosing. Your soul learns a new language, not apology, not survival, but arrival. This is the hour your life rises from the table and moves to the window. This is the hour your hands stop holding what was never meant to stay. This is the hour your name stands in its full height and remembers that it was always taller than their shadow. Walk on and do not look back for permission, because permission already lives in your bones. Walk on and do not shrink for comfort, because comfort is not a room you owe to anyone who tried to collapse your walls. Walk on and do not delay for explanations, because explanations are not bridges you need to cross. I seal this word over you like armor that fits perfectly. I surround your home with quiet that cannot be faked. I write freedom across your tomorrow so boldly that even your yesterday must respect it. The gates remain open only to expose and to end, not to haunt. The fire remains steady only to guard and to warn, not to wound. The truth remains present only to heal and to lead, not to punish your kindness for being generous. You are released from performances you did not audition for. You are released from contracts you never signed. You are released from debts you paid with your sleep. Your steps sound different now, like drums of a festival that finally belongs to you. Your eyes shine different now, like windows that have learned to love sunlight again. Your voice feels different now, like a bell that has remembered its own note. When morning touches your window, the room will feel lighter than it did when you closed your eyes. When you stand, your back will feel straighter than it did when you sat down. When you speak, your words will carry further than they did before this unveiling. You will meet the day without the phantom hand on your shoulder. You will walk the path without the gravel of their whispers in your shoes. You will hold your dreams without the shadow trying to negotiate their size. This verdict is carved in stone and sealed with flame. This mercy is carved in love and sealed with wisdom. This future is carved in truth and sealed with peace. I keep watch until the last echo of their influence dissolves into harmless memory. I keep watch until the last thread of their story breaks away from your name. I keep watch until the last place in your heart is warm again. Rest now, my child, because the night has been told where it cannot enter. Rise now, my child, because the future has been told where it must open. Live now, my child, because your life has been told it belongs entirely to you. When you are ready, close the door gently and let the silence belong to you again. When you are ready, step outside and feel how the world feels new without the weight of pretending. When you are ready, smile without worrying who might be counting your teeth. The name you recognized no longer holds power over your steps. The chapter you closed no longer edits your sentences. The shadow you outgrew no longer fits across your sunrise. Go forward with a heart that refuses to trade wonder for warning. Go forward with a mind that prefers clarity to confusion. Go forward with a soul that knows its address and never gives it to thieves. And when the world tries to tell you that you imagined your own courage, remember this night and the flame that stood guard at your door. Remember this night and the window that finally opened to clean air. Remember this night and the way your name felt when you decided it belongs only to you. Archangel Michael says, "The fire has learned your shape now, and it will not burn where your truth begins. It will travel only along the borders of betrayal and consume every rope that once tightened around your chest. It will stand at your door like a loyal guardian and hunger only for the scent of falsehood. You feel the house listen as you move, like old wood relieved to carry your steps without the extra weight of pretending. Every room remembers your laughter without the echo of judgment stapled to it. Every window invites a wind that smells like new decisions and untaken roads. I roll back the sky above your head and let you see how far your strength reaches when it is not busy surviving storms that do not belong to you. I place a crown of ordinary courage on your morning so it does not wait for ceremony to begin. I lift your name out of other people's stories and set it in the quiet where it belongs to you again. The shadow that haunted your threshold tries one last performance and finds the stage gone. The lines they rehearsed fall to the floor like dull coins with no mint to certify them. The charm they purchased on credit is repossessed by truth in a single, silent hour. You remember the handshake that lingered half a second too long because it was measuring, not greeting. You remember the praise that floated like perfume while their eyes were busy calculating. You remember the moment you felt small and told yourself you were being dramatic, when in truth your spirit had sounded the alarm. I collect those memories and hold them to the fire until only clarity remains. Clarity is gentle with you and ruthless with the lie. Clarity takes the blade from your throat and returns it to your hand as a boundary. Breathe the new air without apology, because oxygen owes you no explanation. Stand in the new room without shrinking, because space does not charge you for existing. Walk into the next hour without rehearsing pain, because you are not a stage for old scenes. The name still presses at the edge of your tongue like a storm pressing at the edge of the coast. It does not need to be shouted to be real, and it does not need to be swallowed to be holy. It needs to be recognized the way you recognize your reflection after a long night, tender with truth and unwilling to lie. I open the ledger of your kindness and balance it in your favor. I return to you time you lost by doubting yourself in the face of their confidence. I repay you in courage and restful sleep and people who will not need an audience to be decent. Listen to the new rhythm of your days as they begin to stack like bright bricks. Notice how plans feel lighter when they do not include managing someone else's weather. Notice how your voice finds its natural volume when it is not tuned to the temperature of another heart's manipulations. This is the season where your standards stop apologizing for being alive. This is the season where your no becomes a lighthouse that saves you from wrecks advertised as romance or loyalty. This is the season where love arrives with clean hands and honest eyes and zero interest in borrowing your light to find their own. The one who trespassed into your peace meets a mirror that will not blink. Their stories wear out because repetition cannot resurrect what never lived. Their circle closes because people tire of shows where the main character refuses to grow. Your soul graduates from the classroom of confusion without dragging a desk behind it. Your heart puts down the chalk it used to draw excuses for other people's storms. Your mind steps outside for recess and realizes the gate was never locked from the outside. I rewire the hallway of your thoughts so that doubt no longer gets the master key. I reseal the cracks where regret used to whistle at midnight. I repaint the future with the color that looks best on you, certainty without cruelty. You change your locks and your language follows. You rearrange your room and your boundaries follow. You redefine your yes and your destiny follows like a river remembering its ocean. Archangel Michael says, "The light you carry is older than any trick and smarter than any mask." It knows how to listen without becoming a storage unit for poison. It knows how to help without becoming a bridge for thieves. I summon companions whose loyalty does not shrink in private. I send mentors who teach without reminding you of the price every time you succeed. I introduce opportunities that do not require you to starve your soul to feed your schedule. You begin to recognize the difference between urgency and importance, between drama and depth, between applause and alignment. You begin to move at the speed of trust instead of the speed of fear. You begin to live at the volume of truth instead of the volume of other people's cravings. The gates of hell remain open like a furnace that eats only lies. Every thread of manipulation tossed toward you burns to harmless ash midair. Every whisper that tried to sculpt your name into something smaller loses its tongue in the fire. You no longer negotiate with red flags dressed as confetti. You no longer sign contracts written in the ink of guilt. You no longer translate contempt into challenge and call it love. Your sleep recalibrates, deep and unbothered, and your mornings taste like clean water. Your work remembers its meaning because it is no longer tasked with saving someone who never planned on swimming. Your friendships laugh like wind chimes in a forgiving breeze. I walk the perimeter of your life with a lantern that reveals, not shames. I mark the places where you grew roots in stone and bless them until the stone learns to be soil. I mark the places where you tried to be air for someone who would not breathe and bless you with rest. The one you recognize turns to the same old tricks and finds the cupboard bare. They search for your attention and meet a quiet that does not return calls. They reach for your empathy and find a boundary wrapped in velvet and backed with iron. You spend an evening with yourself and remember you are excellent company. You spend a morning with your dream and remember it was patient while you survived. You spend an afternoon with your future and sign the lease with both hands. I untie every knot tied behind your back by hungry hands. I unmask every compliment that tried to wear the face of commitment. I unseat every fear that tried to rent a throne in your chest. The fire softens around your name and sharpens around the lie. The air cools around your shoulders and heats around manipulation. The road smooths under your steps and roughens under any foot that runs toward you with theft in mind. You do not owe a farewell tour to the season that drained you. You do not owe a final speech to the audience that only clapped when you were small. You do not owe a receipt for the grace you gave freely while they hoarded mercy like coins. Make room on your shelf for trophies that measure inner weather, clear mornings, steady breath, gentle hands with yourself. Make room on your calendar for days that do not require armor. Make room in your conversations for laughter that does not hide a bruise. Archangel Michael says, I reassign your energy from defense to design. I reassign your attention from survival to creation. I reassign your hope from gamble to guarantee. Your phone stops buzzing with emergencies you did not cause. Your heart stops sprinting to fires that ignite themselves for entertainment. Your mind stops apologizing for noticing patterns that wanted to own you. There is a place in the city of your life where drums are beginning. There is a square where banners of wholeness climb the light poles like vines. There is a song that sounds like you and does not ask your pain to sing back up. The lesson arrives without bitterness, which is the crown of real victory. The memory remains without venom, which is the scent of real healing. The future approaches without costume, which is the proof of real peace. You begin to bless the hours that fed your wisdom, even if they starved your calendar. You begin to honor the intuition that raised its hand while logic was still writing notes. You begin to trust the quiet that never asked to be famous. I collect your scattered power from old rooms, old chats, old agreements, and I pour it back into your center like warm light. I seal the cracks so that leaks must learn to be rivers before they reach you again. I post sentries at your edges who recognize coercion even when it wears the color of care. The wicked one watches the gate and learns it is not a door to you, but a door to their own undoing. They feel the heat of consequence and realize it is not vengeful, only accurate. They discover that a life built on borrowed light goes dark when the lender turns off the switch. You write your new rules on the inside of your day where only you can read them. You honor your signals the first time they speak instead of the 20th. You choose companions who enjoy your strength and do not secretly pray for your confusion. In rooms where you once shrank, you now expand with quiet authority. In halls where you once waited for permission, you now walk with decisions already alive in your hands. In mirrors where you once searched for the version of you they could accept, you now greet the version of you that accepts itself. I stitch your timeline with gold where it tore, visible not as shame but as story. I thread your boundaries with music so they do not clank like chains but hum like freedom. I frame your vision with patience so it does not rush past the orchard to chase applause. The gate's fire throws light on maps you had not considered. New work, new city, new craft, new rest, new friends who laugh with their whole faces. New mornings that do not arrive carrying someone else's night. The name that rose within you no longer shakes your hands. It no longer discolors your sunrise or edits your laughter or taxes your breath. It becomes a file folded shut and placed where it cannot spill into your tomorrow. You give your heart a room with plants and sunlight and a chair that fits. You give your mind a desk with drawers that close. You give your spirit a window that opens to a horizon wider than your last goodbye. I write favor on your calendar where fear used to scribble delays. I write protection on your pathways where old storms used to camp. I write joy across your hours in letters big enough for your hope to read at a distance. The furnace keeps its promise and eats what must never return. The night keeps its distance and learns your borders by heart. The dawn keeps arriving and finds you ready in ways you once thought were for other people. Archangel Michael says, "The great unveiling has finished its work, and what remains is you, whole and unashamed." Your past bows to your present and agrees to be history instead of a haunting. Your future bows to your courage and agrees to be partnership instead of a prize you must chase breathless. Walk the road that honors your name without needing to borrow thunder. Build the table that feeds your calling without demanding you eat silence. Choose the doors that open to rooms where you are not required to misplace yourself to be welcomed. The gate glows behind you like a boundary made of sunrise. It will remain as long as it is needed and no longer, because justice is precise even when it is fierce. It will stand watch until memory learns to rest without rehearsing the wound. This chapter closes with soft hands and steady eyes. This chapter closes without announcements and without spectators. This chapter closes in the language of completion that only your spirit needs to hear. Ahead waits the work you love in the company of souls who do not confuse closeness with possession. Ahead waits the laughter that returns like a loyal bird to your shoulder. Ahead waits the peace that no longer checks the locks 3 times before sleeping. I bless your going out and your coming in with a wisdom that keeps you free. I bless your choosing with a courage that does not seek permission from fear. I bless your resting with a kindness that does not demand performance for comfort. The night will try to remind you and you will remember differently now. The day will try to rush you and you will move with purpose, not panic. The world will try to name you and you will answer only to truth. Archangel Michael says, "It is done where it matters most." Your heart has stepped out of the courtroom and into the garden. Your name has stepped out of the rumor and into the record. Walk on, my child, and let the healed parts of you lead. Walk on, my child, and let the clear parts of you choose. Walk on, my child, and let the brave parts of you drive. And when the sun lowers and the city grows quiet, sit with your life like an old friend who never left. Let the silence be a sofa and the peace be a blanket and the future be a gentle door opening from inside. Let your breath be a prayer without words and your rest be a throne without witnesses. The gates behind you are not a threat but a testimony. The flames around you are not a danger but a covenant. The light within you is not alone but an inheritance. Go forward now in the fullness that does not stutter and the freedom that does not audition. Keep your eyes open to goodness and your hands open to worthy work. Keep your steps loyal to the road that honors who you are when nobody is watching.